All right, what's happening, people? As many of you are, I am on obviously a Christmas vacation as well. This is, of course, the Real Deal podcast on the road. So I'm out of town right now. But guess what? Guess what? I'm still giving you Insecure season 5, episode 9 out. Okay, this episode was too good not to give you a quick little recap on it. Me and Tiffany Quinn, of course, will be back for the series finale, which will be a special program. We're going to be back for that. Shout out to her. Shout out to Queen Quinn. Um, Perfect episode. This was a perfect episode. Um, you know, you saw everything that we wanted to see, and concluding, of course, with the Lawrence and Nathan showdown. Most of this episode takes place because we'll go directly into best scenes because most of this episode takes place at this going away party for Tiffany and Derek. Of course, they're moving to Denver, so they had this big going away party at Tiffany's parents' house, which is like I think it was Tiffany's parents' house, might have been Derek's or whatever. At their parents' house, which is like a mansion. So they have this extravagant party, and even before that, let's go before that. Let's go to the Molly Taurean and their relationship before we get to this big party because there was certainly a lot at that party, and that's where about 9% of the episode was at that party. So Molly and Torian, so Torian gets a promotion. He's officially a partner, and Molly jumps in and hugs him in front of the two other colleagues, two other workers, and they immediately know what time it is. They immediately know or assume that Molly and Torian are having sex, which officially they hadn't had sex yet, but they know that there was a certain type of energy that they got, that Molly and Torian had. They saw the connection, so they weren't 100% wrong because they wouldn't, even though they weren't having sex as of yet, they clearly have feelings for each other and clearly care about each other. And you saw Molly try to play it off with, come hug this man, and she knows she knew at that point that she had given it away as far as her real true feelings for Torian in front of everybody, not everybody, but just in front of her coworkers. So you had that going on. So then we get to this big party. Now this party, there was a lot going on. This party started in the daytime and ended in the evening. So it was a long party over the course of the day. A bunch of stuff happened. So let's begin. So Molly and Torian brings edibles. He decides that this is not the party for edibles. So he and Molly take an edible, and there was a big ass edible to say the least. And so they are basically throughout the course of this episode in their own world, high as high can be, and they go into this, this edible. They go into this splurge of just this world to where they're hungry. They're out here chasing food. They they go they go into the kitchen looking for macaroni and cheese balls. They get to go to the kitchen and just destroy a plate of a bunch of bite-sized finger foods at the party, and then that of course leads to them they end up having sex and basically consummating their relationship as being officially together. I would say both of them seem happy. Molly is as happy as we've seen Molly since the series started. So right now Molly was in a great place. We're gonna go with the Nathan Lawrence. Then let's go with Molly runs into Dro. So Dro comes back. Um, he gets invited to the party. Dro comes back. Of course, Molly and Dro were in a relationship. Well, I mean, Molly was basically a side piece. They weren't even in a relationship. Dro was in an open relationship with his wife in season 2, and Molly was in essence the side piece. So they had a fling in season 2. We hadn't seen Dro since then. I know a lot of people wondered if Dro was going to come back. Would Dro come back? And they bring Dro back. And then Molly, as high as she was, in front of Taurean, basically explains the entire relationship in about 25 seconds in front of Taurean, saying, "Hey, man, we used to hook up a lot. He was in an open relationship, but we're cool now," and so on and so on. And Taurean, to his credit, didn't think too much of it. Was like, "Okay, so you explained it. We're all good," and they moved on from that. So then we get into the Nathan Lawrence face off. So Nathan, so Nathan, so they're amongst the fellas, and they're talking about barbecue, and somehow it gets to Lawrence and Nathan, and this is they're arguing, basically throwing subliminal shots at each other, arguing who has the best barbecue, L.A. or Houston. Of course, Nathan's from Houston, and Lawrence, and moved to L.A. And Lawrence, of course, is from L.A. and has been there for a long time. Really, recently moved back, so they're throwing subliminal shots that they're clearly not talking about barbecue. It's clearly discussing Issa, and they're both they're both trying to it basically is like it was a lot of testosterone, to say the least, and they're both of them fighting for the woman that they both love. We recently seen Nathan and Molly relationship go to another level. Early at the beginning of the episode, they went and visited an apartment to go look for it wasn't. I don't think it was a house. I don't think it was an apartment. It was a house, a very nice house that they were looking to move into. They decided that they were going to live together, and this is emblematic of their relationship. It starts out great with them discussing their apartment, and they're all excited about the new house, and then it turns out that the guy, the realtor, has already rented it out to someone else. So to me, that perfectly dictates what the Nathan and Molly Issa relationship will end up being. And I've said this all season long, they're not going to end up together. So that scene perfectly ended, to me, how their relationship is going to go. Now we go back to the party and the Nathan Lawrence face off in terms of that. So Nathan gets annoyed. Molly goes to talk to Nathan. Nathan's annoyed. He had also planned to meet his friend. His friend needed to borrow the keys to the shop or something, or left something that he had to pick up from Nathan. So Nathan leaves the party for a second to go outside and meet up with his friend, who, of course, a few episodes ago had a crush on Molly, and actually took Molly to that concert, got Molly inside that concert with, I forgot the singer, Jason Derulo. That was him. So his friend basically tells Molly, like, look, not tells Molly, tells Nathan, like, look, Nathan tells his friend that he's not happy with how Lawrence came at him, saying, Issa's ex was out here talking slick. And his friend's like, look, we can come up here. I can go there with you. We can take care of this, in terms of basically wanting to start a fight. And Nathan's like, no, I'm gonna be cordial, I'm gonna be chill. I'm not about that. And I'm just going to take it easy. So the guy basically says, hey, call me if you need anything. Nathan goes back in the party because, of course, Nathan at this point is completely annoyed, because he's basically been challenged by, his manhood has basically subliminally been challenged by Lawrence, and he's felt like he's been disrespected by Lawrence. So Lawrence and Issa run into each other. Lawrence wants to talk to Issa, and basically Lawrence pulls a Dwayne Wayne at Whitley's wedding, before Whitley was about to get married to a brother from another planet. That's basically what this was. This is what Lawrence's one last, shot at trying to get Issa back. Issa back. Tells her he loves her. Asks her if she's happy. Says that he doesn't want to leave anything basically undone. Now again, this was spurned on by Lawrence's friend Chad earlier, because if you remember earlier in the episode when Lawrence and Chad were at Lawrence's place, and Lawrence was talking about looking at places himself, he wasn't even going to go to the party. He wasn't going to go to the party. Chad was like, look, You need to fight for what you think is yours, and go and go about it that way. And this triggers something in Lawrence. So Lawrence takes his advice to heart, to a whole nother level, and basically tries to get Issa, tries to basically take Issa from Nathan. Nathan interrupts the conversation, and of course Nathan doesn't like Lawrence from the standpoint of the whole barbecue conversation. So they get into a kerfuffle, a little hand fighting, arm pushing, nothing serious. This is the problem I had with the scene. They should just outright fought. Like they clearly don't like each other. There clearly was a lot of tension. This clearly has been building up in terms of Nathan being frustrated. They should have just outright fought. That's the one thing about this episode that I think that they could have did, that they, in terms of, in real life, they fight, to me. That's just my opinion. In real life, those guys fight. You're talking about fighting over somebody who you possibly may you be a candidate to spend the rest of your life with. And I think they fight. So that's just my opinion. So you had that going on. Again, I love this episode. It was had a lot of sentimental moments in the episode. There are a couple sentimental moments in the episode with the girls together, the fellas, everybody almost in a way. You're seeing everybody somewhat saying their goodbyes. Another death reference from Kelly saying that basically I would die for you, and then Kelly says I would kill for you in terms of her talking about Tiffany. You saw. We discussed. We saw a great performance. I'm going to change my MVP, by the way. Kendrick Sampson, the guy that plays Nathan, I thought he was the MVP. I'm just going to come out there and say it right now. I thought he had some subtle, just changes of emotion, and you could see him, the mental health, that whole ordeal, and his body language changed when he got upset. When he was starting to get upset, and you could see the build up towards him getting angry over the course of the episode. I thought he did a tremendous job in this episode. I have him. I know I had the writer and co-creator of the show, Prentice Penny, who also had a little cameo as a waiter that Taurean blew off when they were coming by with some hors d'oeuvres or something. They weren't the cheese balls, the macaroni cheese balls that Molly and he wanted. But I would say Nathan was the MVP of this episode. Again, this was a perfect, to me, a near perfect episode in terms of what's going to lead up to the series finale. What is Issa going to do? What's going to happen with Kelly? I still think Kelly's going to die. I've been consistent with that. So there you go. That is my little, kind of review of season 5, episode 9, Out Okay. The second to last episode, the penultimate episode of the entire series. I will be back with you, of course, next week, along with Tiffany Quinn. If you're wondering what's going on with my phone here, we just found some technology that I didn't even know I had with this dual camera here. So just having a little fun with it. Enjoy the rest. Enjoy your Christmas Eve. I will see you next time. I'm out.